All rise, football fans, as the Welt Rheaume Miami Dolphins report with David Veronis is in session.
Welt Rheaume has more than 62 years of litigation experience handling insurance disputes. They are committed to resolving even the toughest insurance claims quickly. Call them for a free consultation. 954-966-4646. Here's Miami Dolphins insider David Veronis.
All right. How you doing, my brother? How you feeling? You feeling good?
Feeling good, man. Yeah, we're finally getting closer to this draft. Yeah, we're a little bit more than a week away.
Can you explain Tua derangement syndrome? Like, this weekend he's out there on a boat and having fun because it's his life, bro. He can do whatever the hell he wants. Why are so many idiots overreacting about that?
Yeah, right. And then I think I only saw like the viral accounts that just like pick up everything, like the ones I'm talking about, like Dove Climbing and whatever else that are just like posting it, and they frame it as he's under heavy criticism, and I'm like, heavy criticism from who? Like, who was criticizing him before you posted this? I don't even know, but yeah, I mean, it's just weird for some people. I mean. Like, all right, the man made his money and he's already gone. Like, just let him live his life. He's allowed to enjoy what he worked for. He did work for it, and it just didn't work out with this franchise. But and then he played it the right way. Like, the market is the market, and he knew it was his opportunity then when it was. I mean, don't blame him.
Was it the market for Culpepper and Sue and Tannehill? And this is nothing new, bro.
Right. What's the common denominator?
Yes, hate the team, bro. Don't hate the player, dude.
Don't hate the player, hate the game. Yeah.
Hate the game. Hate the idiots that don't know how to play the game. Really, like your anger is so misguided. It's baffling to me how just stupid people are. You know what I mean? It's like, bro, you just answered it. The common denominator. It's the Miami Dolphins. They got their heads up their asses. So the day they stop getting their heads up their asses and they actually have the right owner and the right front office and the right head coach, you won't see these kind of mistakes made. Period. End of story. There'll be mistakes because everybody's going to make them, but not as habitual for decades. Bill Parcells was here robbing, stealing. I mean, come on, dude.
Oh, man, the easy targets, the Dolphins, huh?
Jimmy Johnson's last year, he did nothing. Nothing. He brought in Dave Wanstead, didn't go to the Combine, didn't go to the Senior Bowl, sent everybody else in that last year, heading into the last season. All I could see is cases of Heineken beer being brought over to the facility every week. He mailed that shit in that last year. People talk about this, and it's like, bro, there's a common denominator. That was your perfect answer to all of this. Let it go, dude. Let it go. It's not the player. It's them.
So that was Jimmy Johnson's last year, huh? Which was still a team that made a divisional round playoff appearance.
Well, you have Marino.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you have Marino, even an old Marino with bone spurs in his shoulder, you're going to have at least a chance. But that's because you had the freak. You know what I'm saying? That's another thing Dolphin fans have to let go. Bro, stop it already. He doesn't want to be a general manager. Oh, did Troy Aikman jump? Bro, just leave him alone, bro. It's just kind of he did his part, bro. I watched him. He did his part. They didn't do their part. Shula and company didn't do their part around Marino. And guess what? Everybody that's taken over since then, they never get the job done anyways. So don't blame one individual player. This has been a habitual mess for decades.
Yeah, no, and that's wild. But I mean, it's definitely not something to mail it in for 99 season, because you mentioned you have Dan Marino. There have been a lot of seasons that it's certainly very plausible and you could really just see a team mail it in the people. But that season wouldn't have been one to do it. But that's wild to even hear that.
Oh, dude, he tried a wildcat thing on Marino. There was talk of benching him and all that kind of stuff in that year because he was having some health issues, and this asshole took everything away from him. He took away all his pass catching bags. He took away the Pro Bowl receiver he had in Irving Fryer. He neutered the whole thing. He was, I've seen this in my lifetime very much. The coaches are vindictive, and when they don't get what they want. Jimmy didn't get what he wanted in Dallas at the beginning because he didn't want Troy Aikman, so he wanted a hard-headed go get Steve Walsh. Well, I think that didn't let him trade Marino, so instead he made Marino's life impossible for those 4 years by making it harder for him to succeed because he wasn't an athletic person. He needed weapons to put them all out. You know what I mean? And so and then you go to Washington, and the owner wants RG3, and Shanahan doesn't want RG3, and he says, "F you, and I'm still going to draft my guy." Throughout history, I've seen coaches run bench and they take it out on the thing. Jimmy Johnson didn't like James Johnson very much, and he ran his ass into the ground, and he ended up with a Super Bowl. Kenny Walker, safe. He had a partially torn knee. Jimmy made his ass go back out there to play, and completely tore it. So coaches they can get pissed. They can be vengeful at times, and they can do things to people and to players and create really bad situations. And so that's why I say at times, you got to really know the whole story at times, what's really going on, because, when you want to blame Tua, the whole system screwed up. It has nothing to do with Tua. You know what I mean? Culpepper was Tua before Tua, It doesn't matter. Tannehill was Tua before Tua, But we've had quarterbacks stealing money all the time. It's just, it's your fault that they're stealing your money. It's your fault that you create this havoc and this, craziness. You know what it is to not, because you can't trade Marino, you're now going to make his life hell? How is that productive? And these are things that I've seen over time that is just, it's insanity, bro.
Yeah. So I don't know about it like in that era, but which I still perceived as like this successful Dolphins era, which it is compared to what we've had for more than 2 decades here. But yeah, even recently, then like Jarvis Landry came out with and so I mean this is Adam Gase now. Those years on the podcast with James Harrison and Joe Hayden, he was talking about how he ended up off of the Dolphins, and it was one thing Adam Gase would always say: if you don't want to be a Dolphin, we'll send your ass to Cleveland. And then that's exactly when they were trading Jarvis Landry. It was like Tennessee was in the mix. I think he said Baltimore, and then all of a sudden he's going to Cleveland. And he's like, "Oh, that's what you guys are doing to me." That you mentioned how vengeful coaches can be, and that was that's another example of just rose to the forefront again recently.
Happens all the time, dude. Happens all the freaking time, man. It's just kind of like that, and they'll do it to the detriment of their team, which is the craziest shit in the world. They'll do something and they'll take it out on a player, and meanwhile it's hurt your team, and it's like that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So, the question I have for you, okay, is incredibly important for the season, because it's how we're going to measure the front office. It's how we're going to measure the coach. It's how we're going to measure the players. And so you made this decision, not you. I'm saying Sully and Half made this decision. Now you got to follow through it. And the question I have for you that I don't know if you can answer, and I don't think anybody really can answer it, but It's a mandate because you made it a mandate. Will they do right by Malik Willis? Will Sullivan do right by Malik Willis? Because I just gave you an example when I set you ass up. Told you that Jimmy took out Marino and he took out weapons and all kinds of stuff. He took out the audibles. Marino had no audibles. He had a check with me system.
That's
Do you know what it is to tell Dan Marino? Okay. You know what it is to tell Dan effing Marino
at the end of his career? Yeah.
No playbook like Kelly does, like Montana does, like all the top quarterbacks in that era. Elway, whatever. Bro, they were the offensive coordinator on the field. Okay? Offensive coordinators weren't calling all the plays back in the day. The damn quarterback could go, they would trust them to like change the play, whatever they wanted to change it to, change the protections, whatever they saw, because the quarterback would actually come off the field and have a discussion with the offensive coordinator and the coach and say, this is what I see, and then this is what I see, and this is what I see, and then they all then decide on something real quick. And sometimes they lean to the quarterback. Nowadays, it's not like that. Nowadays, you do everything that the offensive coordinator, pretty much calls, overall. So imagine all of that. So I ask you this because I watched a head coach destroy the end of Dan Marino's career. I watched another administration draft Ryan Tannehill, and he got killed early on, especially that he was so green that you're putting him out there and he didn't have enough around him and he took hits, whatever. I saw Tua. You drafted a fragile quarterback and you didn't protect him and you didn't give him weapons. So now I see a Malik Willis who is green still, has not even come close to arriving. I don't care how athletic he is. You better do right by him. So you've made the commitment. You've kind of told us that you believe in him as a franchise player, that all he needs is pretty much playing time. That's what you understand, right? Because that's what I understand from Sully, that's the guy. He just needs to develop, right? That's what I picked up in general. So if that's the whole thing, will they do right by Willis?
I think they understand they have to. It would behoove them not only for Malik Willis, and if you aren't calling this a rebuild and you want to actually be competitive with younger pieces, which we can say rebuild even when your roster is in transition. They don't want to associate it, I think, with tanking, which no one's going to be saying that exactly. Well, maybe some people will, but anyway, that's aside from the point. But with Malik Willis, it would behoove you, just because you need to see what you have in him. So you need to give him a fighter's chance if you're going to evaluate him. It's very difficult to evaluate that quarterback if, all right, you traded Jalen Waddle. If right now they're saying they want to extend Devon Achane, whether that happens or not, when that happens, they call it a priority. You need to see him if he's got that running back in place, that run game in place, if he's got a top tier receiver to throw to, another pass catching option, at least, not just a bunch of number 3 wide receivers and an upstart tight end and Greg Dulcich, who you think maybe can, build off of the end of last season. You need to give him a little bit more offensive line protection. You've got 2 pieces. You need to build more around him. So yeah, I think now, especially after trading Jalen Waddle, it's got to be a priority with, I don't think it has to be that number 11 pick. There's so much that you could do at 11 that I don't think it has to. I mean, I could see it at 30 if one of like that next tier after the top 3 receivers are there. I like a lot of them. Like I mocked Denzel Boston out of Washington to the Dolphins, a 6'4" receiver at that spot. I think that would be great. Or if it's a second round pick, whatever the case may be. But one of those top 3 in that, either that 43 pick in the second round or number 30, you have to address and give him a pass catcher. Granted, among a lot of holes that you have, because you need a cornerback, you need edge rushers, you still need help on the O-line, you need a safety. Like if Caleb Downs is there, then you might want to jump on that at 11. So There are so many holes to fill, but one of those has to be a receiver to give Malik Willis for the purpose of just seeing what you have in Malik Willis and giving him a fighter's chance.
You have to get 2 linemen with those 7 picks, right? Within the first 3 rounds, at least 2. I mean, again, I don't give a crap how fast this kid is and how he can run. I don't believe in any of that. I believe living from the pocket and making and winning from the pocket is how you have a long career. You run, you will eventually die. So I don't want to see him running around. I want to see his ass protected. And that's what we never do to young quarterbacks, bro. I mean, would you call it I would call it a failure if you can't get me 2 linemen in the first, because your line right now is not good enough. And I cannot count on Austin Jackson to stay healthy. And I'm not sure yet that Savanaya is going to turn the corner. I'm only sure that Aaron Brewer is a bad mofo. And I'm only sure that Patrick Paul is a bad mofo. Outside of that, I don't know anything else. I don't know anything else.
No, I mean, you say at least 2. I think 2's a good number. If you have 7 picks.
Papa, I'm only talking about the first 3 rounds. There should be a 4th lineman in the 4th and on rounds. Okay, I'm saying you should bring in a
lot for one position. That's a lot for one position.
Dude, you got to protect this guy. You don't have the starters yet, and you don't have the backups. That's my entire point. You can have a lesser receiver if you have a better offensive line. You can have a lesser running back if you have a better offensive line. Hell, you can have a lesser quarterback if you have a better offensive line. You know what I'm saying? To me, the fat guys are everything, dude. Everything for this team. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I would say 2 is a great number. I would say at least 2 because I don't think you need 3 out of those first 7 with all those other needs that you have.
No, I'm saying in the 4th round and on, if you want to add another lineman or 2, I'd love that. Okay, you need to really build this thing up. But in the first 3 rounds where you got 7 picks, 2 of them need to be fat guys. They have to be.
I would say you could get if you get 1 really good one, then that's great. 2 I could also see because you have so many in the 3rd. And then you never know if maybe one of them is used to go get a player that you really like, either once you have that second first rounder or the 2nd round pick, if you want to move up a couple of slots and throw a team one of those 3rd rounders, since you have so many, I wouldn't mind that to drop it down to 6 and get a guy that you really like with one of those top picks if you want to maneuver it that way. If they want to take a chance on one of the 3rd round quarterbacks that they like that's still there, like I'm okay with that. But yeah, you add those factors into that. They need a wide receiver, they need edge rushers, they need a corner, a safety. So yeah, I mean, 2 would be a good number. I would put it at least 1 good one in those first 3 rounds. And because you have 2 players that are solid, and one of them protects the blind side of a now right-handed throw-in quarterback. You no longer have the lefty in Tua, so you got your left tackle in place, and you got your center to anchor the line. And then you brought in a guy like Jamari Salyer, who you're trying to see what he can do at right guard. He's going to be competing. You're trying to develop a player who the previous regime and who a lot of teams liked in last year's draft. So it's not like it's just previous regime. Well, he sucked. Throw him out, Jonas Avainaya. The kid needs development. I think a lot of teams did like him in last year's draft.
I don't have a problem with Savanaya yet, but you got to have an insurance policy just in case.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Because linemen sometimes take a little while to figure it out, dude. It's just kind of the way it goes. Some guys do it right away, and then some guys do take 2 or 3 years. It happens, dude. It happens, unfortunately. And that's why, to me, do right by this kid. Please do right. Okay. Yeah. Now, the next question I have for you is Ruben
to wrap up that point is you're just not going to maybe get the whole line entirely set up all in one offseason either. It's not built. It's not the offensive line isn't built in one year.
No, but you have 2 solid pieces already. Yeah. So you're only really looking at 3, And if Austin Jackson can stay healthy, let's all be honest here. You're really looking at two. Austin Jackson can play. Nobody can say that Austin Jackson can't play. He plays, and he can play at a high-ass level. He's a good player, dude. His problem has been now injuries, and that's the only reason that we're worried about Austin Jackson. With Savanaya, we're worried about his play. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like you have to build the whole line, but you have to be prepared for 2 or 3 positions. So if you get yourself a Maui Noah who can probably play guard and tackle, this year you can have him at guard, at right guard. And if you want to move Jackson in the future, you can kick him out. But now you have solidified that entire side right there. And if you could go get yourself another guard center that can fill in for Savanaya, who might struggle, or whatever, Maui Noah, who may have to move to right tackle because Austin Jackson gets injured, but you get a guard center combo guy. I think that's also very important here, because if Aaron Brewer suffers an injury or there are struggles with your guards, you get that guy to kind of fill in. To me, our entire problem with quarterbacks, it's not that we haven't gotten the right one, of course, we know that. But on top of all of that, the guys you do have, you don't take care of them, bro. And if you don't give them a line, dude, they won a championship with Jalen Hurts, bro. He's a mediocre-ass passer. Mediocre. Super mediocre.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Not only super mediocre, super remedial. Okay? Nice way of saying dumb. Not really a high IQ guy. Okay?
It's a factor why A.J. Brown wants to get out of there.
Well, that happens when you're not a smart guy and you can't read and react quickly because you rely on athleticism mostly. That's why this is who you are, and everybody he's exposed. Everybody knows this shit. You know, they just don't say it out loud, but it is what it is. So protect his ass. And to me, that's what I want you to do with Willis, because if he's running around, bro, you know, we're done. All right, now let's get to the Reuben Bain story. It's all clickbait, bro. Haywood Highsmith went through this. The poor young Haywood Highsmith is an outstanding individual. So is Reuben Bain. None of them were doing drugs. They weren't doing alcohol. They weren't committing crimes. They weren't driving at 150 miles an hour or anything like that. They made a tragic mistake that we all can make, dude. I can make that mistake today. I could have made that mistake 10 years ago. You could have made that mistake at any time. It can happen to any of us. It's sad. None of us want to go through it. The fact that he has to live with it is brutal enough for the young man. So what did you think about the Reuben Bain story?
Yeah, just wild that it comes out now. And then all the reports indicate teams already knew about it. And that was being factored into where he's expected to go. So I think teams view it the same way as you. It's a mistake that a lot of people can make. It's not so much an indictment on his character at all. It's something that could happen. It's very unfortunate, extremely tragic. But as far as his prospects as a draft prospect, then it's the same. So yeah, we'll be talking about his arm length. And then some people will be arguing that. Some people will be arguing, well, you have to turn on the tape and watch what he does with how strong those arms are and how he moves people around, sheds blockers, and then which one will come to the forefront of those aspects in terms of where he gets drafted. Not so much this issue, which pops up 2 years after it happened, right before the draft. So it's just wild sometimes, the draft and how stories can come out now when they were never uncovered before. And then you had the Laramie Tunsil on draft day gas mask thing. But
it's just clickbait bullshit. And then what I don't like is all the aggregators just repeat it instead of looking into it and saying, this is really a nothing story. This can happen to anybody. And that, like I phrased it, they should have phrased it that way. Instead, let's leave it semi-salacious so we can get the hits. It's so dirty, bro. It disgusts me, to be quite honest. But whatever.
Yeah, that's the way I put it. Yeah.
What do you got going on in the Sentinel, my brother, so people can check you out?
Yeah, more of the Dolphins pre-draft positional previews. So Perk is breaking down. We've covered all the offensive positions, wrapping up with wide receivers. just the last one. So now we're moving on to defense. We got linebackers. We got defensive line and edge rushers coming up with DBs before that. So I'm breaking down where the Dolphins stand at all the different positions going into draft. Perk is laying out prospects and Dolphins options at different positions. So, and then by the weekend, Perk and I will combine for a mock draft where we alternate picks. So, interesting to see how that will play out. If we alternate picks, one of us will get odds, one of us will get evens, and then we'll both make one of the Dolphins selections. So that'll make it fun, just like that.
I'm just hoping that it's one of the guys, to be quite honest, Maui Noa or Bain. I would love either guy. I would love Bain more than anybody else. I really want Bain on this team, but Maui Noa would be absolutely fantastic. And then by an outsider, if Caleb Downs, if those guys are gone and Caleb Downs somehow falls, then I wouldn't mind him as my third option. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. All right, follow him on Twitter at David Furones _ David, as always, appreciate you, my brother. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
You got it. There you go. The one and only David Furones with our Welt Rheaume Miami Dolphins report. And don't forget, bankruptcy, homeowner property damage, condo damage, criminal defense, business owner claims, commercial litigation, personal injury. They know how to get it done. They've been at this for over 20 years. They've got a AAA rating from the Better Business Bureau. Nobody better than our boys here at Jeff Welt and Daniel Rheaume. And the consultation is free. And by the way, they have their own adjusters. So if you suffer damage to your home, condo, business, car, call them. They send their adjusters. Never call the insurance company. I know, sounds weird, but they love for us to call because they get the better of us. They know all the laws and the loopholes, and we don't. So make sure you call them. 954-966-4646. That's 954-966-4646.
This has been another session of the Welt Rheaume Miami Dolphins Report with David Furones. At Welt Rheaume, they don't get paid unless you win. They handle complex personal injury claims caused by the fault of another in both state and federal courts. They handle auto, trucking, motorcycle slip and fall, and bicycle accidents. Call 954-966-4646. Welt Rheaume can help.